out with that.
Oh, there's catchphrases now?
No. We actually we'll start with this. I guess is we're just gonna get into it.
Yeah.
So we were just playing around with Chat GBT. Is it called? What is
Chat. Well, this is the Bing version. I mean, it still uses Chat GPT,
the whole
but
AI thing.
Bing kind of is
We
incorporated.
were just trying to come up with ideas for our logo.
Yeah.
And he was just typing in some stuff in there. Some of the stuff that was coming out pretty funny. And so one of the things that he searched for was like catchphrases.
Yeah.
And one of the catchphrases. Go ahead and tell us some of the catchphrases there.
So I told it to make a catchphrase about like something entrepreneurial that has to do with our podcast. And some of the catchphrases that it came up with were the podcast that inspires you to create, innovate, and lead. Which is, I mean, pretty cool.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but that's I feel like that's too much.
After this podcast, I don't know if we'll inspire or motivate anybody.
I feel like the AI sometimes can make things look like it tends to be a little cheesy with it.
Yeah, very cheesy.
It's definitely hyping itself.
So we are the podcast that motivates, inspires, and whatever. But we are back with season 2.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've done a podcast. I think it was like August or maybe even July of 2023 when we did our last episode. So it's been a while, but we are back, Jesus and Will, and in our first episode of Forging the Future.
And the
we're
good
happy
thing
to be
about
back.
this season is that we're able to finally incorporate the green screen for the entire thing.
For those of you who are listening,
There'll be something saying behind you.
Yeah.
like, what the heck? You guys talking- But there is a green screen.
It's because I think last time Mike was on, we only had it on his end,
Yeah.
but not on us.
Yeah.
So this time we can
So we're
change it up a little bit.
incorporating The green screen. So for those of you guys who may be watching some of the clips on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, you might see us, I don't know, on a mountain somewhere. So yeah, it's kind of cool that we did that. So we changed up a few things. We're still in the basement, our studio.
That'll never change.
But we moved some stuff around and we changed up a little bit. So we're excited to be back and we're going to have fun this season. And in our first episode, we brought back our first guest from season 1.
Yeah.
And we're kind of excited to have him back with us in this episode. We got Mike in the studio with us today.
Hello.
Mike is on the mic.
Yes, and it is freezing. I still have a winter coat on. You guys are not, like, you guys are all way more manly than I am, because I am freezing down here.
So when we came into the studio or to the basement, it was cold, and I told the guys you need to put the heat on, and then we got some.
A little bit of flack. Well, because it pushes the heat up so much, and especially noticeable in the men's bathroom. If you don't spend too much time in the bathroom when the heat's on down here, it becomes a sauna.
Well, so,
really?
Yeah, so the heat comes on in the basement, obviously, but then there's like a vent, just one vent that's in the bathroom upstairs that shares the same heat, same unit, and you go in there and it's hot.
Either way, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
But it's cold out here, so we appreciate you coming through, even though it is cold. We'll try to keep it warm.
I'll just keep my coat
I
on.
don't know what to do.
Maybe some hot cocoa in a little bit if you got it.
So what's up with you, Mike? What's going on, man?
Excited for another year.
Yeah.
Man. 2023 was a good year.
Yeah.
Solid year. Had some fun with the family at the end of the year. 2024 looking to be another, honestly, truly a good year. It feels like, I'm not a big fan of winter.
Right.
So, like, there's no snow out right now, and summer, spring around the corner. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that.
So I don't know when this episode is supposed to be coming out, but right now it's where we're just in the beginning of February 2024, and so I'm excited about this new year too.
Yeah.
It has been a tough winter though. It kind of just hit us real hard. Like it was like nice for a while.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in the 40s.
It was
and all
just
of a
one
sudden it was
storm.
boom.
That was really bad.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, that storm lasted for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, but like
I would,
compared to previous winters, I don't think it was that bad.
You are right.
No, I'm happy with that. It could be like that every single winter, and I'd be fine with
It
that.
has warmed up this week. I think we got into the 40s.
Yeah.
At some point this week, so all the snow has melted away. So I'm good with that too. But yeah, what else is new with you? I mean, doing anything exciting this year?
I see that you went to the Lions versus the Bucks.
No,
game.
did you actually go?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't go to that game. I went to so they showed at Lions and 49ers this last game, right before the Super Bowl.
Right.
They showed the game at Ford Field.
Okay.
So it was like 40,000 people in the field, and then they had these huge screens
Uh-huh.
where you're watching the game. And I went to a few games this season, but this one, was just like there was an actual game happening in the
Yeah.
building. It was insane. The energy
Which
in
game
Ford
was
Field.
this again?
This was the NFC Championship
Okay,
game.
so the 49ers.
Yeah, 49ers,
lost.
Lions. Yeah. But I saw them through the rest of the season, and it was a hell of a season.
No, I mean they definitely did a good job this year. You can't be too angry with them. I watched the game, first half. I only watched through the first half.
Oh, you thought they were
could
winning
not-
then?
Well, no, because the first and the second quarter, and I can't remember the exact play, but they made some mistake where they let this guy get like 30 yards. He caught it, stiffed armed somebody, got like 20 or 30 yards,
Yeah.
something like that. And at that point, I was like, here it is, classic Lions. Here we go. And I could not watch because of the anxiety.
Yeah.
I wish I did, but the anxiety got to me.
Yeah.
So I cut it off, and I was just keeping up with the scores. I mean, I'm glad I didn't watch the game because I would have been freaking out the entire time.
I mean, it was close.
It was close.
Very close.
Yeah.
It was close.
It's a different team, man. It's a completely different team.
Regardless of it, we got to be proud of them.
Yeah, and all the coaches. I mean, not to get too football-y or whatever, but all the coaches are coming back.
Yeah.
A lot of the players are coming back.
Yeah.
We just need a defense. We get some cornerbacks in there.
Yeah.
We got a good team. We got a
I'm
great
excited
team.
about it. I think next year
How's
they'll-
the atmosphere there at the Ford Field?
It was like an actual game was happening.
Yeah.
So it was. They had these 4 screens on the field, and then every time they scored a touchdown, they still shot off the fireworks, and people were still doing the wave, and like they're still using the cameras to show people in the stands.
Yeah.
And the energy in Detroit in general, when this season is wild, is electric because everybody there has never seen. I mean, we haven't been to a playoff game in like 30 years.
It's 32 years.
Like everybody was a kid when all this happened, or we're not even born. Some of us.
Well, that's awesome, though, man. I wish I was there for that one.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Can you imagine if they won, though?
Yeah, a Super Bowl. I would be
Even
going.
Even if they won that game.
Yeah, yeah.
Lose the Super Bowl. I don't even care about that.
Right. We were
It would've been
we were
crazy.
talking about it on Mojo in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, would you rather with the team that's never been to the Super Bowl? Would you rather go to Vegas, where there's going to be a lot of fans and it's going to be electric, like it's going to be Vegas,
Yeah.
or would you rather go watch it again at Ford Field and be downtown in Detroit?
Oh, for sure.
I think I would almost rather be downtown.
You want to be hometown, yeah. And I almost feel like the Super Bowls are great and everything like that, but the playoff games are so much better, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're
I
fun.
enjoy the playoff games a lot more than the Super Bowl games.
You think so?
Oh,
Why's
yeah.
that?
Well, and the reason why I say that is because Super Bowl, the teams that go into the Super Bowl are not really teams that they have no rivalry.
Yeah.
And so, like, when they're going into that, it's kind of just commercial. It's just like, okay, everybody's just watching the Super Bowl, and there's no rivalry. You're not really, I mean, obviously you're going for your team.
Yeah.
Right? So there is that, but there isn't, like, the story behind it or anything.
I
like that.
agree.
Like, for me, the playoffs, like 49ers and the Lions going against each other. Or you got the 49ers, even with Kansas, if they were to go against them. That would have been incredible. I would like that.
Yeah. Well, it is
those
Kansas
playoff
City.
games, right.
It is Kansas City and 49ers.
Yeah.
But the story, I
No,
agree
but
with
I'm
you.
saying if the Lions were going with Kansas,
Oh,
then
yeah.
I would have been like, oh, yeah, this is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
You know, outside of that.
The storyline, I couldn't agree with you more
Yeah.
because right now it's either Patrick Mahomes is going to get another Super Bowl
Right.
or Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant in the
Right.
draft. Kind of cool if he
Right,
does
right.
win, but it would have been nothing like it would have been if it would have been the Ravens and the Lions.
Yeah.
That would have been the best Super Bowl we could have
Yeah,
had.
that's what I wanted, the Ravens and the Lions. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
We got next year.
Yeah.
I think they'll do an incredible job next year, and I think Campbell's doing an incredible job.
Oh, absolutely.
He's killing it.
Other than that, other than Lions excitement, we had a baby. So that's,
Oh, yeah?
so there's that.
There's that. Oh, sweet. Boy, girl.
Boy,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah.
That's 2 now or 3?
2 boys, 1 girl.
Okay.
I'm done. All
Okay.
done.
Well,
Officially.
congratulations,
Thank
man.
you, man. Thank you.
Sweet. When did you have the kid?
He was born. So I don't remember when I saw you guys last, but it was in May. May
Okay.
25th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
man.
you.
I think we did talk about this in our last podcast. I think there was something along the lines of kids.
The baby was on the
Maybe
way.
it was just kids. You talked about kids or something, but
Yeah.
I think you were talking about needed some money or you got to get a job or something because you had another kid coming or something like that.
I always could use more money. There's never a time where I could
Right.
say,
Well, congratulations, man.
Thank
It's
you.
Not even a year old yet.
no, 8 months, just starting to kind of understand what's going on in the world, function a little bit.
That's a fun age, man.
Yeah.
I cannot with babies for some reason. I cannot. They got to be at a certain age. They got to be at the age where they can start holding their head up for me to start having fun with them.
Yeah.
Before that, like anybody's like, "Hey, you want to hold my baby?" I'm like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah.
Like I have no interest in it.
Yeah?
Yeah. once they hold their heads up, then I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. You know, they can start goofing around and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. So
Yeah, I'm always just
Eight-
worried I'm
8
gonna
months is
do-
definitely good.
I'm just gonna do something wrong.
Yeah.
Or like,
that's what I'm afraid of. Like in my mind, I'm always thinking like I'm gonna crush their, their soft little heads.
No.
And I'm not
Yeah,
doing
that is-
anything. I'm
that
just
is-
holding it. But that's like my.
How are you holding these babies?
Yeah. Are you- as long as you,
By the head, like,
yeah, like a basketball.
Dunk 'em.
But 8 months is definitely fun. That's when they start. I get like you just said. They start.
He's crawling.
noticing
he's,
things.
Yeah, he's
and-
crawling. He's saying dada, so I feel like that's a win.
Yeah.
Because it's not mom.
Right.
It's not mom first. But yeah, other than that, adjusting to that life and kind of getting in the swing of things.
Sweet, man.
Yeah. What about you guys? What's going on with you guys?
To be honest with you, nothing. Same story back in August when we ended the podcast
Yeah.
first season. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Nothing new with me. How about you, Jesus? I mean, I'm boring. Sorry, guys, but that's it.
Yeah, no, I guess kind of the same. We
Yeah.
haven't really changed much. Yeah, just working, getting a lot of these training videos out of the way.
Yeah.
We've been doing training videos internally for the company, so pushing those out. That's mainly it. I mean,
there's
Yeah.
a lot of them.
yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, they've been working on that for quite some time. Months
Mhm.
now.
I think what's the total up now, Jeff? Over 70 something?
Right around 100.
Around 100, so more than I ever thought.
And they're building them from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're animating them, doing a whole like writing the scripts,
Script, everything.
doing we have like an AI voiceover tool.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's
AI has
pretty
been-
nice. It helps because getting people to do a voiceover or even doing it myself is just really difficult.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather play around with the finicky voices sometimes than have to have someone in a
Read
studio
'em
at
out.
a scheduled time to do it. This way I can just sit at my computer and grind them out.
Do they still sound
It takes
like?
me a while, but
Yeah.
I can just do it myself.
Do they still sound robot-y?
No,
They
Actually,
sound-
pretty
super
realistic.
They
realistic.
sound.
I have-
Everything I've heard, they
Played
sound.
some, I was like,
It's-
who is talking?
They
It's
s-
insane how realistic they sound.
Everything I've heard, they sound dead inside. They sound like they don't have a
I
soul.
plan to play this at the end of the episode.
Forging the Future is made possible through support from Forge Industrial Staffing. Work where it works.
You know who
For
Theo
you.
Vaughn is?
I do. Yeah.
So
It
they
works.
even had one of him as like the AI voiceover,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you could use him for like whatever, but you could tell that that's him, and it didn't sound robotic in any way. It sounded like it was legitimately him.
Now, if you ask AI to build a script for you, that's when it kind of gets weird.
Uh-huh.
There's some things in there, like when we asked it to come up with a logo for us, and then it had like a catchphrase under it. What was the catchphrase? It was like Werto,
Yeah, that's just with images. It's real weird
That's
with
weird.
text.
Werto Bergmore or something like that.
No.
With scripts,
So
the
stuff like
biggest-
that's kind of weird.
The biggest thing is usually just making sure that like the grammar makes sense, that like it's not referencing things that don't really make sense in the script.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every now and then it'll pull from like a weird source of information, so like you can't just like tell it what you want and then be like, all right, now turn it in. Like
Yeah.
you know, you gotta
review it.
review it yourself.
Eh.
Because sometimes it has some weird ideas.
It's such a AI is such an interesting thing, and some people in some businesses are scared. Like
Yeah.
AI is gonna. There's no fear in my business at all because there's a different level of like interaction with humans that you need to do.
You want to hear a person.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the whole point of it, is that you want to hear that.
Yeah, yeah.
conversation.
But I like to hear what it does in other elements of other jobs. Like that's interesting. I still think it sounds soulless, but
Yeah.
but he's not trying to convey any sort of emotion either.
For now.
For,
It
yeah,
sounds-
for now, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think the tools could be really, really useful. It's just a matter of using them to help instead of replace.
Yes. Yeah, which I think, and because radio is doing some of that too.
Yeah.
With assistance. So if like somebody calls looking for something and they need a AI assistant to get them in the same with any other call,
Yeah.
call center. So for some, I think for some buildings, like larger buildings, I think they're directing people in that way, and I think there may be some script writing, but I don't think so because I think it's script writing, but I think you have to, like you said, go over it because it
Well, you
comes
could
out.
even use it to change your language. So, if, like, you wanted to do Mojo in the morning in Spanish,
Uh-huh.
you could just make it your voice,
Mhm.
but in Spanish, and have it do that whole thing. So,
So
you
I
want to cater to
utilize
different
it.
audiences.
I utilize that at work if I'm talking with a company or a client,
Uh-huh.
and I want to sound a little more professional than what I really sound like.
Yeah.
I use that.
Yeah.
And it sounds really good.
Yeah.
And you obviously have to read it.
Yeah.
Try to change it up so it does still sound like you.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to meet the client and then they're like, you sound nothing like
Yeah,
you.
It can really help. It helps boost up your vocabulary a lot. It helps me a lot with brainstorming.
Yeah.
Jesus and I use it a lot that way.
See, that's the best way I think to do it is
to
brainstorm. Because even like they've talked about certain things in our job with it, and I was like, we're going to lose creativity if we just let it do the work for us. We'll have zero. But I like the idea of using it as like a starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
I'm stuck on
inspired.
this.
Yeah. If you use it right, it can just bolster creativity.
Yeah.
It just makes it.
I like
gives you
that.
more options.
Right.
Yeah, well, the logos that you came up with are pretty cool. Maybe we'll put
Well, that's
put
the thing.
that online
I didn't come
somewhere.
up with them.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It
That's
was-
an AI. Then we could put it out there.
Here, I'll show you a
people
little
see
bit.
AI's got nothing on my new logo. I let me tell you.
Looks very 80s or 90s.
That's what we.
Yeah,
You're going for
it is.
80s. Yeah.
So this is
Vaporwave.
what it came up with first.
And for those of you guys who are listening to the podcast, we'll put this somewhere so you can
We'll
see
put
it.
it on the green screen.
Yeah, make sure you save those. I'll put it behind.
It
Yeah.
looks like
So this is the first thing that it came up with, and I gave it more detail. So like,
an 80s video game.
yeah,
Or like a 90s video game.
Yeah. And then he put in replace the characters with Hispanics.
Did you? Did you guys use pictures of yourself?
no, this is
they're
all,
pretty close. Some
Yeah.
of them are almost there, but like that one's not too bad. But then it almost has like a Middle Eastern look to them too.
Well, because it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't know.
It doesn't
There's no
know.
difference.
Not yet.
But like, yeah, I mean, the more details you could give it, the better it is at coming up with something that's legit. I mean, this is pretty good, obviously, without the beard and stuff, but.
And the catchphrase underneath says.
Or-
But yeah, it's
Future
definitely
needs to be
something that
spelled right.
helps
True
you
Hispanics.
release some creative juices. Yeah, for now.
We're kind of happy with it.
We'll work with it until it makes
Until
us
we
work for
until
it.
we That's how we can catch up with it. But yeah, so we brought Mike on. For those of you who are first-time listeners to the podcast, Forge Industrial Staffing, we really try to focus on that whole entrepreneurial spirit of businesses. And so we try to bring people on who are starting their own businesses, who've started their own businesses, and talk about advice, success, and stuff like that. Mike, working with the radio, you're kind of, I don't know, it's not your own business or anything like that, but you are promoting yourself. You're promoting something out there, and I think you do a fantastic job
Oh, thank you.
of doing that. So that's why we brought Mike on, and he was our first guest, and the last one I think was probably one of our most popular episodes.
Yeah.
People
You're
really
just
like
saying
it.
that because I'm sitting right
No,
here.
dude, it was. It was one of
The
our most
TikTok
popular.
clip blew up.
Yeah.
Those did really well, especially because I had reposted them after doing a little bit of touch-ups and stuff to them.
Yeah.
They did well the second time.
Yeah,
too.
and I
Alright.
think that was mostly because Mike was doing the talking of those.
He brings the energy into it. So.
You're definitely good at what you do, man.
Thank
So,
you. Thank
you. How long have you been doing that again?
18 years.
Yeah, 18 years.
Yeah.
So you definitely got the expertise when it comes to that.
Yeah. It's changed a lot, but I
Yeah.
think so. It's become now your own brand.
Yeah.
So I'm a brand extended from another brand, off of another brand, like
Right.
that kind of situation. So
Yeah.
it's kind of nice to control the content and stuff that I do on myself,
Yeah.
and by just literally being me.
Yeah.
It's just me, and how can I put it out there?
And so for those who are listening who don't know your brand, who don't know your stuff, talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that and where they can find that content.
You can find it on our website, 1045snx.com or mojointhemorning.com. That's the morning show that I work on. It's called Mojo in the Morning.
One of the most popular ones here in West Michigan.
It's I'm doing really well in the company right now
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I think it's like number in the entire company. It's like it's in the top 5.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah, and podcast downloads. It's like 19 million or something.
Wow.
Yeah, it's insane.
Holy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's and that's the morning show. That's all of us. And then I got my own Instagram and Facebook and stuff that kind of branches off of that, and that's kind of how I work with companies and how I extend my own personal brand, because we all each bring something different to the table when it comes to the show.
Yeah.
And creating content and that kind of stuff. And you can find that on my Instagram at OnAirMike. Everything is at OnAirMike.
Yeah.
Which was a play on Michael Jordan, but also I saw Ryan Seacrest put On Air with Ryan Seacrest, so I was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
But really, it was a play. Like, I had so many names over the years that I wanted one that was simple, told you what it, like, if you see that, you know it's either on TV or on the radio or
Right.
a plane, I guess. It could be that, too.
Well, if you're going to replicate anybody, you might as well replicate the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
So,
the guy who's on everything.
Yeah.
And Michael Jordan was
Yeah.
my favorite basketball player.
Was or is?
Yeah, I like him. I think there's other people coming up. I like Steph Curry. I like LeBron. I loved Kobe.
Yeah.
Was he the best for his time, you think?
Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah, 110%.
Okay.
He was incredible. I love watching his
Yeah,
games.
yeah. I still watch highlights. I'll still today watch highlights.
Same here. I love watching the highlights from the last championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Jazz? Was
Yeah,
it
that
against the
5
Jazz?
seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
Every time I watch that, man. But it brings back good memories. So yeah, talking about branding and everything like that. So we do want to bring up some subjects today. It's something fun, I think. We've been talking about this lately off air.
Yeah.
Not recording, just just us sitting around talking about stuff. And one of the things that we wanted to touch on was like movies.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about some big movies, and we had just had this conversation before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
It was just a natural conversation.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. So we were talking about Mike here asked us what is, in our opinion, one of the greatest franchises in movie history, right?
Yes.
And I said Rocky.
Yeah.
I love the Rocky movies, man.
Okay.
I love the Rocky movies. I love the speeches he gives. I love just it's so motivational, so
Yeah.
inspirational. Not only that, but the making of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very it's a mirror image of the movie. So when you're talking about Sylvester Stallone trying to come up,
Yeah.
and his very first movie, Rocky, the first Rocky, it's a mirror image of his personal life.
Was that his first movie?
His first.
I did not
big-
know that.
His first big movie.
I had no idea.
Yeah, there's other movies that he definitely did before that, or he was coming out with some stuff.
Mhm.
But his first big role, or starring role, was Rocky.
Yeah.
He wrote the movie actually.
I didn't know any of that either.
No, really?
Yeah, no.
So he wrote the movie. The story goes that he wrote it on a napkin or something like that. He wrote it like basically the synopsis of the movie. Like this is what the movie's going to be about. And
Sure.
he wrote it down like really quick in like 30 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it took a lot longer for them to put the movie together.
Right.
But it was his movie.
Wow.
Yeah,
They
it's
said
his movie.
that he was nearly homeless when he pitched that idea.
Yeah. So he pitched the idea. They loved the idea, and they wanted to buy it from him. And it was like some ridiculous amount, like $1,700 or something like that.
$350,000.
Yeah, that's what they
For the
wanted.
whole movie?
Yeah.
And
To
then
buy it from
to
him.
just buy the script, and then he would be.
He'd get nothing
You're
out of it.
done. Yeah.
And he obviously stayed.
And he
took
said,
a
"I'm not
cut.
doing that. I want to star in the movie."
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what he said.
Okay.
And he was nobody.
Yeah.
They were like, "You're not starring." in this
Yeah, and
movie."
they gave him the money,
Yeah.
but then they said, all right, well, now
Yeah.
we're not going to give you any kind of daily rate for your acting time. You're
Yeah.
going to take minimum,
Yeah.
and you're not going to take any writer's fees for
Yeah.
on set either. So he took that at a loss so that he could
Yeah.
still be in the movie.
But you're
Did
talking
he-
about building a brand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did he get a cut of?
He did get a cut
Oh,
of the
God.
end.
Yeah, he-
Went on to direct him because the first one was directed by a different guy,
Uh-huh.
but then went on to direct and write all of the sequels.
And once he,
so-
and I obviously I don't know the contract side of this or whatever, but once he starts and they get to the second, third movie, you're not going to put somebody else in that movie,
No.
or in that role.
No.
So-
I mean, he blew up on the first movie.
Yeah,
He blew
yeah.
up. Everybody knew
That's
Sylvester
so smart.
Stallone after that. But yeah, there was even a story about him selling his dog. He had this dog
So
that was his family. That was it. It was him and his dog, and he had no money left, so he sold his dog
Yeah.
to get
Jesus.
something.
That's
I
a
think he
sacrifice.
got it back pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
when he got the money off of this Rocky movie, he went and bought the dog.
That's
Yes,
insane.
that was his dog. So I mean, talking about like that branding.
Sure.
I mean, this guy, he built his whole career off of this movie, Rocky.
Yeah.
I mean, for a long time, people saw him and he was Rocky. He wasn't Sylvester Stallone. He was Rocky. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about that. And we got some other movies that we also want to talk about. Really talking about these big movies, these big franchises that really started off with nothing.
Yeah.
You know, they built from the ground up. Whoever it was, the writer, the directors, even the cast, where they were coming in with absolutely nothing, maybe a few thousand or even $1 million, but not big budgets.
Right.
Right. And they're coming in and they're making these sacrifices, and how they built this franchise or built this, whatever you want to call it, this huge thing that everybody knows about, because they didn't want to give up on their dream.
Yeah.
Right?
I fully
So,
understand that.
Jesus, he does all the research for us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let him go
Well,
ahead.
it's actually on this one is actually Spencer. For most of this.
I gotta put that film degree to use somehow.
So talk a little bit about what the whole thing about Rocky. What was the budget on that Rocky movie, the first one?
So it says that they were given $1.1 million for a budget for the movie worldwide, and then they made $117 million from that movie. So I mean,
Somebody got paid.
they got
Somebody
paid
got
pretty
paid.
well. I mean, they sacrificed a lot too, because the
Yeah.
producers, they put their houses and their mortgages on that. They could have lost their entire house if the movie did poorly, but they were so they thought that the movie was going to succeed that much that they were willing to risk their entire house.
And
to see that happen.
I think that's part of, you said chasing your dream, chasing your passion, knowing your brand or whatever. I feel like that's part of it is you have to be willing to do all that. Not necessarily you don't have to.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to go, all right, like this is it. Like I'm gonna, for me personally, I knew I was gonna be in radio. The second I walked through the door, the second I went on the air, I knew I was gonna do this.
Yeah.
Quit every job that I was doing. I quit school. Like I'm not recommending that.
Yeah.
But those are I decided that I'm going to do this, and this, and chase it, and see where it goes. And I'm continuing to chase what I would say is my dream, but it's the sacrifice that I felt like I had to make to start building a brand.
Right. Well, it's that belief of your dream, right?
Yeah.
That, I'm not there yet, but I know that I can do this. I
Yes.
know I can be something.
Yes.
And even if no one else believes it,
Yeah.
that you hold on to that. Like you said, you walked into the studio wherever you walked into, and you knew, I'm going to be in radio.
Yes. Yeah. The second I went on the air, the second they put me on the air the first time, and I got a reaction, and people in my neighborhood and stuff like that would say stuff like, "Hey, I heard you on the radio the other day," and I start to get like a sense of you're connecting with listeners and audience, and I'm like, "This is it.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do." And so I just
And I'm sure that at some point in your career, there was people who criticized you. People who said, "This is not for you."
the second I got there.
Yeah.
The second I got there, the guy who was on his way out the door, he was training people to do what he wanted to do. He had decided radio wasn't for him.
Okay.
And so he was just he's one of those guys that and maybe you've dealt with people like this,
Yeah.
who should have been let go before he was able to just leave with his 2 weeks notice.
Yeah.
Because there was just a bad vibe about him. He didn't want anything he knew he was leaving, so he didn't care what anybody else had to say or anything. And so he left and went out the door just talking crap to everybody.
Yeah.
And not the best way to start it, but it didn't stop him.
Yeah. What did he say to you exactly?
He said there's no money in radio. He said I wouldn't even bother. Yeah, I wouldn't even bother.
Talking the whole.
Oh yeah. There was people along the way who said, there was a guy who said that I shouldn't DJ because it wouldn't go well with radio, like DJ, like play music and stuff like that. And that year those type of things actually pushed me because I would.
Is that where you started then with the DJ?
No, I started on the air, and then people would ask radio people all the time, "Do you DJ events?"
Yeah.
And I would always just say no, and then I started to see how much money you could make DJing, and I went,
Yeah,
DJ.
yeah.
And so then I taught I learned from some buddies who DJ, but I would MC more of those club gigs, and so there would be DJs there, so I'd watch them and kind of learn from them, and I knew how to MC really, really well, so I was like, if I can attach DJing to that, and so 2012 we started hosting a lot of concerts at that time too, and maybe it was 2011, 2012. And they said, "Hey, we need an opener for like Little John or an opener for Juvenile, like all these different big artists."
Open it?
Yes, I did. Because
Wow.
then what you do is now what I have is a resume of I opened for Lil Jon. I opened for it was cool to like remember sitting in my bedroom and playing these CDs. I know those aren't a thing anymore. But playing a CD of Juvenile, Back That Ass Up. Most ridiculous song to really like get nostalgic about, but
It's a good song.
yeah. But so imagine sitting on stage knowing Juvenile's right there, and I'm playing the music for Juvenile, and he points to me and says, "All right, hit the music." And so I'm playing that dun dun dun, and then he starts. The crowd's going wild. The energy is wild. I'm DJing for Nelly and all these big artists.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So then I can put that on a resume, and then all these other gigs opened up because they want the guy who DJ'd for Nelly and who DJ'd for. So I'd start doing these events that were smaller in retrospect to like the concerts, but like really they were big for me because I had never done these things.
Yeah.
And so then I was doing nights at the time too, so I built my brand around that, and that's where Mike at Night came from.
Yeah.
And I would host the night show, and I would go out to these club events, and then I grew up with the brand, and so the brand had to change.
Yeah.
And I had to give up DJing, and I had to give up all these other things that were a lot of fun. I loved doing them, but like as part of the evolution and sacrificing and getting to where I really, which is mornings and which is a larger scale of the business, and I had to sacrifice to get to that point.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people along the way who just tell you, I don't know if radio's going to be it forever. Radio's changing. Radio's this. Radio's that.
Yeah.
There's always people that are going to say that. I personally believe just don't ever quit at what you want to do.
Yeah.
How are you able to take like criticism and use it to your advantage? Because I think you were talking to Jeff about this a little bit earlier.
Uh-huh.
Some guy told you that you weren't funny, apparently.
No. So we did there was a, so, oh, yeah.
You gotta love those people.
Oh, yeah. So there's people in the business who, I'm not going to name names, but so there is a person who no longer works with us, so that's a good start, whose job it is to go out and sell the brand. So I guess they don't work with us anymore. They were in sales. Okay, so they have to sell me. They have to sell you guys have met some of the people we work with. Like, obviously not John Farmer, but you guys know that's who it was to me. Yeah. And this person would try to sell me to places and then come back to me and say, hey, we think you have gotten, a little corny with your stuff, and you post a lot about your family, and some of the stuff is just turned into corny jokes. Yeah. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, okay.
My life is corny.
Yeah, and I was like, my first initial reaction is I can say whatever I want here, right? Yeah, sure. That was my first initial reaction. Like,
this isn't live. I can edit whatever.
Yeah. And they tried to tell me I wasn't Detroit enough, whatever that means, and all these different things. And it was really just chirping in my ear. But what happens is sometimes something like that gets spread in the office, and I'm sure there's office stuff you guys have dealt with, where it starts as a little rumor, and then all of a sudden the fire builds, and it starts spreading, and then people who are supposed to, it never happened this way, but people who are supposed to sell you and try to get you out in front of clients and stuff like that, stop because they believe a certain thing. And that never happened, thankfully, but that's why I was able to bring it up, is because it was years ago. This person doesn't directly, I don't have to deal with this person ever again, and I feel like those type of people are getting out of the business anyways, because there's people who are excited and understand what we're doing and get it, and then there was that person who was not getting it and fully, and so as a brand and as somebody who does take criticism on a daily basis of like bosses or listeners, or you kind of just roll with it. Like, I know what I want to be, I know who I am, and the more authentic and real and true to myself that I stick with. Do I have a corny dad joke or two? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't care though. Like, but if I start focusing on what that one person, who might be a lot, in the grand scheme, a lot of people could believe that. If I start going with what they say and what they think that I'm doing, then I'm just going to go down a rabbit hole of of truly sticking to what everybody else thinks. You know what I mean? And I'm not worried about being cool or being something that, like, I'm not trying to be anything. I'm just being me, and if it comes off a certain way, it comes off a certain way.
Well, and you can't satisfy all of the viewers. You can't satisfy everybody out there. You're going to have your own fan base, right?
Yeah. And if you live by the compliments, then you also die by the criticism. Yeah. Like, constructive, I love. Yeah. If I'm doing something, like if it was like a client or even a boss, like it was like air checking me, which is where they go over your shift and tell you what you could work on. I love that stuff. Yeah. Tell me what you need, I can make it happen. But if it's like you're falling into this category and we just don't think you're going to fit with the station, and that person doesn't even control whether or not I'm on the station, or it's just chirping at that point. It's just like you're.
Well, and it's kind of cool that you stay true to yourself, right?
I have to.
And so you have to stay true to yourself, even if other people don't like it.
Yeah.
And you being in that industry where you're trying to gain a fan base, I can understand where you might change something up about yourself.
I grow.
You get more.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that you stay true to yourself. And whoever wants to follow, you can follow. If you don't like it, then there's other people out there you can follow for sure. Yeah. But this is who I am. This is my family. These are my people. These are my corny jokes. This is who I am.
And they're not. Hey, first off, let me just say this: they're not all corny. All right, some of them are. No, but if people can sense fake. Yeah, people can sense inauthentic.
We want genuine. Yeah, we want genuine.
Whatever that is, and then I grow, so my stuff's gonna change. Yeah. Is it me, wearing Magic Mike outfits to club gigs anymore? Yeah. No. Yeah. It's not. It's not that. It's not that anymore. Yeah. That's not who I am anymore. I'm a dad with kids and a mortgage and real life issues. Yeah, so I talk about that and do that stuff, and
we appreciate it. Yeah.
I don't give a if you like it or not. How about that?
No, we do appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. No, but it's interesting you say that, because I remember a few years ago, I used to work in this HR office, and it's not for the company I'm working for now, but I was working in this HR office, and we just got into this subject of what do we want to do with our lives.
Sure.
And I remember saying that, I don't see myself, I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I want to see myself in like a management role. I I like leadership. I like working with people, developing people,
Sure.
developing with people. I like all that stuff. So I said, well, I don't know. I see myself in a management role someday. And the person that I was talking to, they said, you a manager? No, it can't happen.
See?
And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? She's like, you're too nice. You can't do that. and it's almost the same mentality that I had. I was like, what? Get out of here,
But did that criticism kind of fuel
It
the
did.
fire to
It's
pursue
exactly
that?
what it did, yeah. So I took that as, like you just said, fuel, and I basically went back and was like, I'm going to prove to you that I can do this.
Yeah.
And that you don't have to be a mean person. You don't have to be.
Don't.
Yeah. I'm going to be who I am.
Yeah.
And I can do this. And I think I do a pretty good job. I am in a management role now.
Yeah.
I think I do a pretty good job at my job. But there was a time after that, though, and we're talking about a couple of years after that, where I did try to change my management style, or in fact, I tried to change me.
Really? Why is
who I
that?
was. And there was some stuff going on at the time where I felt like, okay, maybe if I was a little more stern, if I was a little more tough,
Yeah.
then these things wouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
And so I started changing who I was.
Yeah.
Not just my style, but who I was. And so I wasn't as nice, like the person said, as I used to be. And it started affecting my personal life.
Yeah.
And so there was a point there, and it's probably like a year that I was behaving this way, that my wife, after maybe like 9 months, she was like, what's going on with you? There's something different about you. You're not who you used to be. And you just seem very upset.
Yeah.
And it was that kind of helped me realize, like, oh, I'm not being true to me.
Yeah.
I'm being somebody else, and I really don't like myself.
Yeah.
I do not like who I am right now. So I had to find myself again. And then in that, that growth that you were talking about, I found out, like, okay, I can be a manager and me at the same time.
Yeah.
And I found my management style. I found my way of doing it.
Sure.
Like I said, I think I do a fantastic job of what I do now. But it was through that growth, that experience of, okay, I got to stay true to me, though.
Yeah. Do you feel? I don't know if you both have spouses. Yes.
Nope.
No.
You do got a partner, though.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I always feel like that is the person to me
Yeah.
who can always be that person that's always on the outside
Yeah.
with no ill intentions.
Yeah.
It's always the person. My wife is always the person,
Yeah.
same as you,
Yeah.
who will say, you know
What's
what,
going on?
what's going on?
Yeah.
You're not you. This
Yeah.
isn't you.
Yeah.
Or if I think a situation, and this is what I found over the years, is there are times where I look at a situation and think it's one thing.
Yeah.
Or think it's going a certain way, or it's not the way that I had envisioned, and all of a sudden, my wife looks at it and from an outside perspective, and she gives me these insights that she sees
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
It's that rock at, I feel personally, it's that rock at home, that foundation a
Yeah.
little bit.
You need it.
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
110%.
For sure, yeah. She definitely got me back to where I needed to be.
That's good, man.
Yeah, and I felt good after that.
Yeah.
Yes.
What made you decide to? Because I'm a assistant program director outside of the morning show stuff that I do. So I'm in like a vice president type
Yeah.
of role. Like I'm not the guy, but like there has always been talks of maybe someday, and I don't know that I would ever, run the station. I don't know that my focus isn't. It might be part of a gig at some point someday.
Yeah.
But like, what was your decision? Your deciding factor to get into management?
It was kind of the same thing that you said earlier.
Yeah.
That you found out that you're good at something.
Yeah.
Right, and that you enjoyed it.
Okay.
And so it's kind of the same thing with me. I never saw myself in high school going into management. That wasn't my thing.
Right.
But once I got into going to work, becoming an adult,
Yeah.
I found that I was kind of drawn towards, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm being, egotistical or anything like that, but I found myself drawn towards leadership.
Yeah, that's not
It was
egotistical.
it was natural.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was
Also,
natural.
self-aware.
There's a Japanese word, and I'm not trying to get like super philosophical, but there's a Japanese word that kind of explains that. It's called ishigai or ikigai, where it says pretty much that you got to find what you love
Yeah.
and get paid for it,
Yeah.
and that's how you'll be happy.
Yeah.
So I mean, the ways that you guys are talking about it,
Yeah.
it kind of seems like that's what you found. You found what you were good at and what you loved,
Yeah.
and then you also found a way to make some money from it.
Yeah,
So-
and that's exactly what happened. I mean, it was just I was drawn towards that, and I found out, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
I can do this, and so exactly what you just said. I was like, how do I make this a financial, a financial gain?
Because you still got to get paid too.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing. Would you say you're the same though too? Like you're happy or you're?
What I'm doing right now, as far as like marketing and like we get to do like graphic design, and I've always, for as long as I can remember, have loved like art and design and
Sure.
drawing and that sort of thing. So being able to do that now, I think I'm at a spot where I do what I like and I still get paid for it.
He does
But
a really good job.
It took me a while to get there too. Like I didn't, like I always liked it, but I was like, you can't make no real money from this. Like where am I gonna? But now with like technology and stuff, you can definitely make some good money from
Do
it.
you guys remember the last job you did that wasn't a passion job, but it was I have to get paid before you had the job that you have now? Because I remember the last one. I was in
a lot.
Yeah, I was at. Well, I remember the last one specifically. I was in a factory,
Yeah.
sitting in a factory at a machine where I was literally just taking parts of like an inside of a door of a car and putting them on. And I was like, "There's no way I can do this forever. I can't do this for 8 hours a day."
No.
Same here. It was factory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine was a factory too.
Yeah.
But I
Nothing,
mean, for some
nothing
people,
wrong with that. For some people, it's perfect.
no.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that, there's absolutely nothing. My
Just wasn't for me.
No. I think because my brother works in a factory. He works for Amazon. My brother does it all the time and
Yeah.
loves it.
Yeah.
Because he's very introverted.
Yeah.
So like for him, he puts on headphones and he just goes at it, and that's his thing.
Yeah.
But for me, who likes to talk to people all the time and has to be around a bunch of people,
Yeah.
I couldn't personally have done
Well,
it.
I think it depends on where you're at in your life, because I remember my first job, my absolute first job was at a library.
Yeah.
And I used to work in a basement. So I was the guy that, so when you ordered a book, you were at some other library across town and you wanted this book, so you had to wait a week for that book to get to you.
Yeah.
I was the guy in the basement who was pulling the books to
Okay.
get that book to you.
Okay.
So I was down there by myself. So I had music on, and I'm still in high school. Loved the job.
Yeah.
I was all by myself, playing whatever I wanted to play, did whatever I wanted
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
Got the job done, got out of there, and had a good time when I hung out with my friends and went to school and stuff like that. So I love that job. I couldn't do that now, though.
No,
I would
right.
hate that job.
No, right. It
But-
changes throughout the
Yeah,
year.
yeah. But the one job that I did have was a factory job where I used to work manufacturing glass products. And it was a good job, good
Yeah,
people. I
good
loved
money,
the job.
too,
Yeah,
probably.
really good money. But I could not see myself there for the rest of my life. And I remember at one point I was there for 2 years, and at the end of that career, I told my boss, like, I'm leaving. I'm going to give you a month notice, but I
Yeah.
am leaving because I cannot do this for the rest of my life. I want to go back to school and figure out what I want to do.
Sure.
And I remember he threw more money at me.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing. In
I was like, oh,
if
no.
if you're into it, so if that's your passion, so if your
Yeah.
passion is doing stuff like that, creating stuff like that, building stuff like that, and you want to be in an environment where you can throw headphones in or do whatever you're allowed to do in those places, you could move up quick in those places.
Yeah, yeah.
Really, really quick.
Yeah.
They will throw money at you,
Yeah.
and they will because I did do a couple. No, it wasn't you guys, sorry, but I did do a couple temp services,
Yeah, yeah.
and I got almost hired instantly.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved you guys from the get-go, because I knew exactly what it was like because I did it. And within like 60 days, they were like, "Do you want a full-time job?" So when I was searching for jobs, that was how I got my foot in the door right away. But there were management positions available. There was just moving up and more money.
Yeah.
So if that's what you're into,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that at all. It just wasn't for me personally.
Same here. 15 more minutes.
So if you wanna actually pull up the slide 14 and show what the product is
Okay,
first.
so this is Head On, the Miracle Headache Cure.
So I came across a very low budget commercial. So just to give you a little bit of context, this is the product. It is a headache relief product, I guess. I don't really know.
You came up with this?
It's,
or-
no.
Oh, okay.
I came
was
across
about to say,
this. It was an interesting ad. I was
Spencer
looking
Fry.
for like weird ad campaigns and stuff, and I'd seen this product, and it was kind of like a glue stick for your head,
Okay.
like you rub it on your head.
What?
So Jesus, if you want to show what the commercial is, so they didn't have a lot of money. Just imagine you're watching TV late at night, and this comes up.
Does it work?
Well,
Oh
that's
no,
the
No.
thing. They're not around anymore. So.
Head on, apply directly to the
Oh, I remember
forehead.
this commercial.
Oh, I do remember this.
Press the forehead.
Now you do.
Head on.
Because they repeated it over and over and over and over and
Head
over.
on, available at Walgreens.
Well, because it comes
Head
on,
on,
and you
apply
think
directly
like,
to
is
the
my
forehead.
TV
Head on, apply
broken?
directly
What
to
is
the
this?
forehead.
Right.
Head on,
This is in the 90s or something?
to the forehead.
No, this is.
Head on,
I think this was like the 2000s.
Yeah.
It's just that low budget.
Makers of Head on, introducing Activon.
Hey.
Arthritis pain,
That one's different. That one
Activon.
actually, but
Apply
those first
directly
three
where it
would
hurts.
Well, the
play-
fact that they branched out to Activon means that they were selling head on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like it made
Huh.
money, but there was no proof
just
that
remember.
it did anything.
Is it like a vapor rub for
I
your
just
forehead?
remember
That's the
that
idea. It's supposed to
that
be-
repeat
to
that
remove
repetitive commercial.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything. I don't think I ever bought it.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure I never bought it, but I do remember that commercial.
But it's an interesting strategy, isn't it? Because it's like you guys didn't remember, but as soon as it was in there somewhere. Real big.
tapped
Was it
Something.
was it ever proven to do anything? Like,
No.
was there
It
any
is
studies?
complete pseudoscience. It's basically just wax in the tube. There's like a little bit of like medical home, but like it hasn't been proven to do anything for your
But
health.
for some people that said that it did help in a way, right? It was like a
It's
placebo thing. Yeah.
Because if you put it on and you believe it's gonna help, then there's a chance it will.
Yeah.
So don't be fake.
I just
Even
wanted
if you're
to
trying to
show
sell
that.
something.
I just saw that gem and I figured you guys might want to see one of the greatest commercials ever. Just incredible.
But what it probably did is sold some head-on stuff. 'Cause
Yeah,
we all
It
remember
definitely sold.
Yeah.
If they're branching out to Activon.
Yeah, they're
They
making,
definitely-
making sequel products.
They
Is it
definitely-
around, has anybody Googled if it's around today?
I don't think it's
Probably get it on
actively
Amazon.
sold. Like,
I wonder how many products we have today that are like a head-on that just say
there's
that
so
they
many of it, man. Come on.
do a thing and they probably don't.
I mean, that's the whole pharmaceutical industry is built on that concept.
True.
We just build something and sell it.
I don't see the head.
yeah, I don't think they really sell it much anymore. I think
They probably got into some issues.
kind of one of those
Yeah.
fad things.
Yeah.
A previous commercial claimed the product provided headache relief, but was pulled after objections from the Better Business Bureau.
There you go.
Huh.
So
Yeah,
saying
you
they
can't
probably
even
got
you
into
can't even get
trouble.
it on Amazon. Amazon those things just says currently unavailable.
Well, Mike, we do appreciate you coming out, man. We appreciate. We don't want to waste a lot of your time, but we do appreciate. I mean, you coming out, speaking with us. We like bringing you on because you just seem to be the kind of guy that gets it.
I hope so.
Yeah, you get it. You get the whole point of you're not starting your own business. Was kind of outside of the scope of our podcast, but you're somebody who is building on a brand.
Yeah.
And that brand is Mike, right? And so we really appreciate it. You came out that first episode. You actually helped us out on how we could start a podcast. And
Oh, cool.
After that meeting, we actually sat down with like some of the ideas that Mike came up with. Let's talk about some of those things. And what can
That's
we do?
awesome.
And so we're still building on it. We're still trying to get there.
It
But
looks
a
nice.
lot of the ideas that you came up with in that first meeting that we had definitely helped us out.
Cool. Well, my next idea is to put head on this green screen behind us.
We got the same color.
I
So.
have to find where they are, reach out, and figure out if I can get us a sponsorship. 'cause-
I'm sure that the guy
Somebody out there.
the Todd or whatever his name is that's running it in his parents' basement somewhere will let us use
He'd be
it.
begging.
Yeah.
Absolutely begging.
So what's the story for Mike? What's going on? I mean, anything new coming up this year that you're looking forward to? What are you doing to expand your brand? If anything.
I can't get into details, but
Oh.
we got some good feedback back, is what I'll say, from on our show, which will help me overall
Yeah.
as a brand because it shows with like a study or whatever
Okay.
who is listening to who on the show,
Okay.
who's got a good following on the show, who the audience is attracted to on the show.
Okay.
That's all I can technically say on that. But it should be growing as far as working with. I'd like to work with more clients. I'd like to work with long-standing clients. I'd like to work with some like dealerships, like
Yeah.
some big stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like to travel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd
Yeah.
like to, as far as the brand is going, I'd like to dive into things I've never done. I'd like to work on a Christmas station.
Yeah.
I've never worked on a Christmas. I love Christmas.
Yeah.
I'd like to tap into more of that.
Are you familiar with Delilah?
I am familiar with
I
Delilah.
love her Christmas.
I'm-
Oh my gosh, her Christmas stuff.
Yes, she's a different avenue than I would probably go down.
Yeah, you could definitely do something.
I'm not giving love advice.
No,
Delilah.
the Christmas
Yeah.
stuff that she does
Yeah,
is
yeah.
awesome. I like her Christmas stuff. I don't
good
listen to her
station.
any other time. But
Yeah.
I get that. I do get that.
I'd like to, just do more. I'd like to expand and practice more at the craft, and get better as a storyteller, as a broadcaster, I'd like to get in front of, do more stuff in the community.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily a brand thing, but also maybe
We'll
a
give
little
it
bit.
back. Give it
Yeah.
back to the community that brought you up.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely respect that. And I like your stuff, man. I mean, in the morning, you guys crack me up.
Thank you.
I love the stuff, and then the stuff that you're always putting out there. How's the workout stuff going, though?
The workout.
Yeah, you said last year that you came on, you started to work out. You were doing.
I do.
Yeah, are you still?
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You seem kind of like, what are you talking?
Yeah. No,
So you
no.
are still working out. You're still
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. Don't let this puffy coat fool you.
Yeah.
You want me
There's
to
muscle
take my
under
shirt
there.
off? What are you trying to do?
Come on.
Yeah, you want to take the coat off? Like, what are you trying to do?
No, when you came on our first season, you were talking about how you were just getting back into that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool that you're still working out and stuff. I have not worked out since September, And so, in fact, when you asked me if there's anything new about me, I injured my foot back in September.
Okay.
And so I was working out, I was going to the gym, I was doing my thing.
Uh-huh.
And then in September, I fell down, slipped down some stairs playing with my nieces.
Oh, jeez.
And I hyperextended one of my toes.
Oh.
So kind of like a turf toe situation.
Yeah.
And so the day after I got injured, I went off to Peru, to Panama, and we were there for a week. And so I was on my foot, and it was killing me. It got swollen. It was black and blue. And, so for a whole week, we were walking around on this bad foot. So when I get back, my foot was pretty bad.
Wow.
So since September, I'm still limping.
Yeah. Now he just limps everywhere.
Yeah. Jesus was just talking about it today, but I've been limping ever since, and I have not been able to go. Well, I could probably go back to the gym and do some other stuff, but when I used to go, it used to be a lot of running.
Yeah.
And so I can't do that anymore.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to bring that up, anyways. But
You want to see a shirtless picture? Is that what you're looking for?
No.
Is that
We're
what
all
you want to see?
good here. I'm glad you're still working out.
Yeah, man. Don't let the puppy. No. So workout stuff, muscle, yes.
Yeah.
I could probably do more cardio. That's probably my biggest thing that I slack on.
Yeah.
And I think mostly I work out to eat sometimes shitty.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't eat shitty all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just so I can have a beer or something every now and then
Yeah.
and not feel guilty about
Yeah.
it.
So working on your brand, working on yourself.
You're
Helping out the
trying to
fat-
see his shirtless picture. You don't believe me. I can tell you don't believe me.
I really appreciate you, Mike, coming out here and talking about all this
Thank you
stuff.
for having me.
You know, for everybody who's listening out there, man, you guys definitely do your thing, man. Be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Believe in yourself, just like Rocky did.
Yeah.
Rocky was out there chasing the chickens.
Rocky, Mike, all winners here.
Gotta put like a
So-
weird pitch shifted version of the theme song in so we don't get copyrighted.
But yeah, we appreciate your time out here, man. And hopefully we can have you back before you start really blowing up. Sounds like you got some big stuff maybe coming in the works here. So
Always.
we're going to try to get you back here, hopefully, and before you hit the Hollywood market, I guess.
Yeah, when you start seeing shirtless pictures of me on billboards. You'd be like, oh man, I didn't think he really worked out. I question him.
That is not the direction I was moving
because he
in.
wore a puffy coat. I even asked you,
Honestly, I just ran out of stuff to talk about. I just brought that.
what's your regimen? Were you squatting, bro? You questioning me.
We'll make sure.
Are you really doing it? I don't
We're
believe
gonna cut
side-eyeing
that
me.
part out.
Side-eyeing me. Are you really working out? Season 2, baby. Holidays, man. Give me a break.
Forging the future is made possible through support from Forge Industrial Staffing. Work where it works for you.